Hi again folks, how's all doing? This is a Hornby Peckett B2 Henry that's been sent to me by a chap called Paul. He said that it stopped running one day, giving off a nasty burning smell, and suspects that either the motor or DCC socket has burnt out. Well, let's just turn on the power and see what happens. Not a sausage. There's a tiny wee twitch on the ammeter. Let's shove wee Henry into the shed and we'll see what's what. Okie dokie then, let's get a look at wee Henry here. I really like these little 060 tank engines, and these newer models are so nicely detailed. This is Hornby, made in China. Pickups all look okay. Very nice model, nicely detailed. So yeah, this came to a halt and made a nasty burning smell. I suspect it's the DCC gubbins that's probably blown rather than the motor. I'm certainly hoping that, because that'll be easily resolved. Paul said that he's an analog guy, so he's quite happy for this to run DC only. So if it's a case of just getting rid of the DCC gubbins, that'll be good. Let's take that coupling out, because I thought there might be a screw in there. So we've got screw there, 2 screws for the keeper plate. Let's undo these and see what happens. Screws undone. Is this just going to lift off? No. Okay. Oh, there we go. Right. Blimey. It's quite a weighty body. Okay, so we've got a tiny wee motor. And yeah, you can see the DCC hoochama ding dong there's got itself a bit melted. You can see it there, it's melted pretty badly. It's just going to unplug. There's 2 little screws in front of it. I think that's just holding the cylinders on. The wires coming out of the socket there. There we go. See, that's all blown. I can unplug that. I wonder if I can get another one of these. That could be a very simple repair, just plug another one of those in. So I'm guessing the blue and yellow wires go down to the pickups. I mean, it would be possible to wire those directly to the motor. But yeah, I think we'll see if we can get a replacement one of these. Then it's just a case of plugging that in and it should be okay. But with that unplugged, I think we'll give the motor a wee test. 4 little screws hold this motor in. Undo them. That thing comes out. And there is the wee motor. I'm getting sparks off the terminals on the motor, but absolutely nothing. No sign of life in it whatsoever. Unless there's something weird going on with that socket, I think we'll get rid of the wires altogether before I formally announce this as an ex-motor. Right. Oh, there we go. Yeah, the motor's spinning. Yeah, it's span with the battery, but applying power from the controller, it's just sparking. Give the motor a turn, and there it goes. It's making funny noises. Yeah, I think that motor is a bit iffy, and I wouldn't fancy my chances of opening it up and cleaning it and all the rest of it. So I'm going to go online and see if I can get a replacement motor. I'll also see if I can get replacements for these, but given that Paul said, he's an analog guy, he doesn't really need those. We could wire those wires directly to the motor, it would work fine. Yeah, we'll go online and see if we can get a replacement motor at least. Right, I hope you're sitting comfortably. I'm going to tell you a wee story. I was able to get a new wiring loom and blanking plate plug chip thingy for this easy enough, but a replacement for this motor, being part X7098, just didn't seem to be available anywhere. I did wonder if the motor used in Rocket would fit, but it's actually a wee bit smaller, and it's got a completely different worm gear. I managed to find some 12-volt N20 motors available from China via eBay that appear to be identical, and I ordered some up, but they took a while to arrive as they came from China. However, a while back, Peter from Peter Spares sent me some micromotor conversion kits. Now, I know a lot of folk are horrified by the price of these kits, and yes, they are a bit on the pricey side, but that's not Peter's doing, it's Micromotor. I actually tried to do a video on the, let's get this out of the road. I actually tried to do a video on the Hornby Ringfield conversion kit, but I didn't have a good experience with it at all. In my opinion, the mount really isn't fit for purpose and needs to be rethought by Micromotor. But I don't want to go into all that in this video. But this is kit 0T005 that is supposedly compatible with this model, so I had that as an option as well. One thing I have to say off the bat about this kit is that it doesn't come with a worm gear. You have to remove the one off the old motor and use that. I can only assume that's because this motor fits a number of different models, but each will have its own gear. But, for what these kits cost, a motor on a plastic mount, yeah, it's not really what I would call good value, I have to say. Anyway, the motors came from China, and they do seem to be identical to the original motor. I'll just show you the inside of this old motor. I opened it up just out of curiosity, just to have a look. So you can see his little 3-pole motor in there. It's the commutator. The brushes are really just coated strips of metal, and this one here appears to be a bit burnt out. So yeah, you can't really clean these up and use them. Once this motor's dead, it's dead. So I'm assuming this motor will be exactly the same. Now, as soon as I tested one of these motors with the battery, just like that, it seemed to spin really fast to me, so much so that I actually doubt that this is a 12-volt motor. It's maybe something more like a 6-volt or a 9-volt. So I was then concerned about how this would make this model run. When I tested the micromotor, it seemed to run slower, so I decided to try fitting both. I thought I'll fit this one first and then I'll fit the micromotor, as that really is the only way to decide which is the better option. Now, I decided not to film all that because it would have taken too long, and I thought it'd just be simply better. Let's get the model fixed and then I'll recap on what I actually did, because fitting a motor, then taking it out, removing the worm gear, fitting it on another motor, resoldering up, it would have made a pretty boring video. So I thought, let's just try both and see which one works the best, and whichever works the best will stay in model. So I replaced the wee blanking plate plug thing. There was no need to replace the wiring loom. It was fine. It was just the blanking plate that was melted. I pulled the worm off the old motor and fitted it to one of the N20 motors and installed it into the model. And as I expected, the model ran far too fast, and it didn't have very good low speed running. I then went to fit the micromotor, only to find that the shaft on the motor was way too long. I had to cut about half of it off with my rotary tool, and I also had to bore out the hole in the worm just to get it to fit the motor. I glued the worm using Loctite 603, which is what Micromotor recommend, and I glued the motor into the mount with some super glue and fitted it into the model, and it ran really nicely. I checked with Paul and he's got a Gauge Master controller, which should be fine with this motor. You really don't want to use a controller with pulse wave modulation with a coreless motor. It'll probably burn it out. So a big thank you to Peter from Peter's Spares for sending me the Micromotor kit, but I do have to say it wasn't an easy job to fit, having to reuse the old worm, bore it out, cut the motor shaft, all a bit of a faff, but it works and it does seem to make this model run really well. So just before I started filming there just now, I've soldered the wires up, I've given everything a wee bit of fresh oil, and we'll get the body on, and I think this will be good to go. Just put the last two screws into the motor mount. I just had it secured with two screws just to test that the motor ran okay. Just make sure these wires sit nice. I've just got a piece of heat shrink insulation over the socket and blanking plate there. I haven't shrunk it, it's just there to protect it. So that should go down like that. It's fine. If I'd filmed, fitting and testing these motors, it would have ended up being a 3 or 4 part video, I think, which I just didn't want to do. I've got enough on my plate just now without, editing together 3 or 4 videos where I can get away with just doing one. Right, it's that. Let's put that front coupling back on. And there we go. Pop this onto the test track. There we go. Alright, okay. Let's go and put out the shed. Okay, let's bring Henry out the shed. So there we are, that's Paul's Hornby Peckett B2 sorted with a replacement coreless motor, thanks to Peter from Peter Spares and Micromotor. Yes, I know the Micromotor kits are expensive, and from my experience with them so far, they aren't always exactly what you might call a simple plug and play replacement, but they can be a great solution to a model with a dead motor where no direct replacement is currently available, as in this case. Current draw is about 50 milliamps on this, so they're very efficient, and the difference in running performance between the Micromotor and the N20 motor is chalk and cheese. This is a really nice wee model and worth a little investment to get it running nicely in my book. I forgot to mention that this will likely be the last repair video done on my current workbench. I'm about to start clearing out that room in order to redecorate it, then build a new workstation, which, well, it's going to be a bit of an operation and it might take me a week or two, but I'll keep you posted on that. Meantime, I shall get this packed up and sent back to Paul. Catch you later, folks.